There are different perspectives to every story. Welcome to Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Let's bring you a perspective to some stories making rounds. Beginning from Samoa, as Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla flew into Samoa for a visit during which the monarch will be offered the title of High Chief and attend a summit of Commonwealth nations. Following a 6-day tour of Australia, Prime Minister Femi Naomi received the royal couple on the runway, along with other dignitaries, before a band played God Save the King, Britain's national anthem. Charles, who also meets the Prime Minister privately at the airport, is the symbolic head of the Commonwealth, a group of 56 countries with roots in the British Empire. His first visit to Samoa coincided with the annual Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, and that is so interesting. More stories still coming from the Commonwealth, as the Commonwealth agrees time has come for talks on legacy of slavery. The 56 member Commonwealth agrees that the time has come for discussions about the legacy of the abhorrent transatlantic slave trade in a landmark statement that raised the prospect of future preparations. As a matter of fact, speaking at a press conference, wrapping up the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Apia, Samoa, Secretary General Patricia Scotland reads out part of the communique on slavery. The heads agreed that the time has come for a meaningful and truthful, respectful conversation towards forging ahead. A common future is needed based on equity. That's part of the discussion. Now, South African President Ramaphosa says BRICS moving from strength to strength. The president, Cyril Ramaphosa, said this as he considered that Moscow is valued ally, a friend during talks with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin at the BRICS summit in Kazan. Leaders from 24 countries in Russia for the 3-day gathering, as Putin seeks to build an alliance of nations aimed at challenging what he called the West hegemony. BRICS held its 2023 summit in Johannesburg, but Putin did not attend in person after the International Criminal Court, of which South Africa is a member. The court earlier issued a warrant for his arrest, and that's part of the reason he didn't attend. South Africa has abstained from UN resolution condemning Russia's February 2022 military offensive against Ukraine, but has called for an end to the conflict, spearheading an African peace mission to both countries last year. Putin says BRICS countries make significant contribution to solve regional conflicts. The Russian President Vladimir Putin hails BRICS members' significant contribution to solving problems that has arisen from regions, as he opens the BRICS summit in Russia city of Kazan. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The grouping, often referred to as a counterweight to the Western-led world, has expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia, too, has been invited to join. Economic Community of Central African States Summit kicks off in Malabo. Heads of state of the Economic Community of Central Africa States, that is ECAS, met in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea for a summit attended by Gabon's transitional president, Brice Oligui Nguema. For the first time since the country's reintegration into the economic community in March 2024. ECAS has suspended Gabon after a 2023 coup that ousted long-lasting President Ali Bongo. Now let's move to India, as India says agreement with China uncontested border patrol is still in place. As a matter of fact, India says it has struck an agreement with neighbor China for military patrols in highly contested border zones, aiming to resolve issues that flare when the rival armies clash in 2020. The announcement comes a day before India Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to attend a BRICS summit in Russia, which Chinese President Xi Jinping is also due to attend. Let's go on a quick break. On return, we shall be looking at matters arising from BRICS and the 2024 Commonwealth meeting. Welcome back. Nigeria has officially joined BRICS as partner country alongside 12 other nations, further strengthening its economic ties with the intergovernmental bloc after getting $1.27 billion foreign capital this year. The 56-member Commonwealth agreed the time has come for discussion about the legacy of abhorrent transatlantic slave trade, and that happened on Saturday, because we will be talking about the BRICS and Commonwealth. And this is so interesting because, as a matter of fact, in a joint statement that raised the prospect of future preparations, a gathering for a summit in Samoa, leaders had lengthy and occasionally tense talks over one of the most sensitive aspects of their shared troubled past. The bloc brings together Britain and most of its former colonies, many of which are still scattered by the brutal trade that saw an estimated 10 to 15 million slaves ripped from Africa over 4 centuries. African, Caribbean and Pacific nations have pressed for Britain and other European powers to pay financial compensation for slavery. But how possible can that be? Where would they start from? This is to say, it's either they pay financial compensation for slavery or to make political amends. Joining me on the conversation today as we talk about the matters arising from BRICS and the Commonwealth is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst, Giwa Victor. It is still Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. We will be talking about something very important, matters arising from the BRICS and, of course, the Commonwealth Summit. As a matter of fact, I have a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst joining me on the conversation, Mr. Victor Giwa. It's good to have you in the studio. Good day.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
We want to look at some of the matters arising from BRICS. As a matter of fact, we all know that Nigeria is interested in being members of so many of these international bodies. Then coming to talk about BRICS, Nigeria becoming a partner with BRICS, not just Nigeria along 12 more countries. What does it spell for Nigeria?
All right, thank you very much. You see, I remember the last time we had a conversation. I think it was close to issue of ministers' appointment and all of that. And I tried to tell you that even the president have not been able to state his agenda. So moving to being a member of BRICS, it's a good thing. Firstly, it's good. But Nigeria have always been confused about what it really wants. And that is why we are in the situation where we are today. And it's very painful that as a citizen, and that we'll be able to make that I'll be making a statement like this. I remember I was in a TV station, a similar TV station like this, sometimes ago, and I said it is sad that as a country that we should be in this state. Now, let us talk about the BRICS. The objective of BRICS actually is a forum for cooperation between members country of the emerging markets. Now, look at the word. It is for countries cooperation, it's a forum for cooperation of countries with the emerging economy. The question you ask yourself is, what is Nigeria bringing on the table? How emerging is Nigeria economy? Now let us take BRICS actually from the founding members of BRICS are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now lately we have Iran, what I call the two E's from Africa, Ethiopia and Egypt being members of the BRICS. And like you said, some other countries, including Nigeria, wants to be members. Now, if you look at the GDP, let us take India. I don't want to go to China, that is very far. The GDP of India is 2.3. The GDP of India is 3.2 trillion. The GDP of South Africa is 2.1 trillion. The GDP of Nigeria is 360 billion. Now, the question is, what is Nigeria bringing on the table? And that is, it is not enough for we to be members of every country or every idea and concept that is designed to assist nations. We are members of COWA. But the question is, how have we been able to position ourselves such that we can enjoy such cooperation, so that we can benefit from such cooperation, such that being a member of such association will up our economic and social benefits.
But we're being made to understand that the reason why that actually came up is to strengthen economic ties. And record has it that Nigeria has gotten $1.27 billion in recent time, just this year. Okay.
From where?
From I think that was gotten from partners.
Nigerians have been having a lot of support from countries like China. If you look at a lot of investment, a lot of activities and projects in Nigeria, they have been sponsored by China. Take for example FCT. You will see that there's a strong collaboration between the Chinese government is everywhere, especially in Africa, trying to do investment, trying to have to strong ties with developing countries. Of course, they are pursuing their great because they have an agenda, and that's the point I was trying to make when I started this conversation. We must have an agenda. The Chinese that we are talking about, they have an agenda. They have an agenda to ensure that they provide and produce certain economic, values to some countries, including African countries, to make sure that they have their inroads in terms of investment, in terms of partnership, with the expectation that they will be able to make more money, improve the economy, and have a stronger ties. But so what are we bringing on the table? So the question therefore is that look at ordinary Nigeria is the sixth oil producing country in the world. As we are talking today, 2024, we are still talking about exporting refined oil. Dangote in less than 4 years has set up a refinery. Nigeria, after independence, since we started our democratic practice since 1999, no government, even the refinery that we inherited, they are not working.
So in other words, you're saying Nigeria is not ripe enough to even go for any partnership in BRICS.
Nigeria, what I'm saying that we should put our house in order. Nigeria too should first of all show that it has gotten to a point where it has developed itself, strengthened its economy, so that when you are coming out, you are now coming out strong for the purpose of partnership and enjoying the economic benefit of such countries. But if you still go there, you will still be interacting with this country as a stooge. You'll be seen as a country that needs help. No, we are talking about partnership here. It has to be symbiotic. I am giving you this and I'm getting this. And I'm doing that from a position of strength and not a position of weakness. That is the point we are making. I was listening to one analysis some days ago, and they said Nigeria is producing less than 12,000 megawatts of electricity. Why other countries, South Africa, 50,000, 21,000? I mean, don't go and mention countries like Niger. I mean, you cannot compare. As of 2021, Nigeria was the biggest growing economy in Africa. But what is the position today? Like I just said, our GDP is 360 billion. No, so the government needs to really sit down to tell ourselves what exactly economic goals, our economic objective, where we want to be, not just putting it as a political manifesto, but you must take practical step. Like I said the last time I came here, you must be able to show by practical step, demonstrate that this is where you are going.
Okay, let me just come in. As it is right now, not just Nigeria that joined as partners. We also have countries like Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba. We even have Uganda. We have Indonesia. We have Kazakhstan. We have Malaysia. We have Thailand. We have Turkey. We have Uzbekistan. And we even have Vietnam. Looking at these other countries, are they doing better than Nigeria, especially Uganda?
You see, these countries are doing better in terms of policies, program, in terms of intentional activities economically, in terms of leadership, in terms of its internal economy. Now, you may look at that Uganda has a small, they have a small economy, but the point is that they've been able to set the template. There is currency stability. Even if the GDP is low, you find out that there is a deliberate step. It is progressive. So the question is, what are our economic indices? How stable are these indices? For example, as of today, the inflation rate in Nigeria is about 33.3 or 33.5. We're talking about the exchange rate. You cannot, if you come into Nigeria today and peg your exchange rate to 1,650 per dollar. If you come next week, you will be surprised that it will be 1,800. Nobody will want to interact with you on the basis of unstable, exchange rate. So you cannot have a stable exchange rate for at least 1 year. Those are the issues. We cannot even look at the country right now. Nigerians, we have removed fuel subsidy. We said that we are deregulating, everybody can buy. We still don't have the same fuel. I mean, something as elementary as that. So it just tells you that we are not yet ready, and we can be ready. We can see it's so bad that it is Nigeria that is even looking for places to be partners with countries like Uganda, with countries like Vietnam, and all of that. By now, Nigeria should be the which word will I use now, of all countries. People should be trying to woo us. Oh, want to partner with us because we have the human resources, we have the mineral resources, we have everything it takes. But the only thing we don't have is the leadership resources, and that is what is really insufficient. That is the major challenge we are having, and that is why we cannot engage from this position.
I'm thinking that part of the reason why the president has been insisting on being member or partners of these various international bodies is maybe to woo investors. You talked about the fact that Nigeria is one country that other countries of the world should be wanting to associate with. Don't you think that being a partner in BRICS can maybe directly or indirectly make investors come invest in Nigeria and boost the economy of the nation?
Yes, it comes naturally that if you are partners, because the whole idea, like I said, is cooperation between the partnering countries. You see areas, but you see, we will still be exploited. The only thing we are bringing on the table are raw materials. Nigeria should be able, our crude oil, that is the number one raw materials we have. Nigeria should be able now to be selling not just crude oil, refined oil to other countries. Nigeria should be able to, by now, to be giving serious amount of volume of gas. The amount of gas we are emitting in this country during the production of crude oil is so terrible that some countries, it's enough for some countries to be living with or living on in terms of export. But Nigeria have not been able to coordinate these resources, to plan these resources such that we can tell these countries, look at the war in Ukraine and Russia, the war within the Middle East. Nigeria, if we have positioned ourselves, like I said, all I was saying, Nigeria should have been the solution of all eyes. People would have been saying, oh, okay, why there's this crisis in the Middle East? Oh, Nigeria is one country that they should be looking at in terms of looking at gas, looking at fuel, and all of that. But we are not a port of call for any of these countries because we ourselves, we need help. So that is the position of, that is what I'm saying, that we have not been able to put our house in order after, since 1960 when we had our independence. And the only reason is because we have, when I listened to somebody who told us that in a particular gathering, we were talking about the railroad in Abuja and all of that, and we were saying we're making progress. He said, no, we are not making progress. That in as much as it's concerned, we are retrogressing. And I said, how? He said, look, Nigeria have always, in the early 70s, Nigeria always have rails. That, for example, in Makurdi, he used to take plane from Makurdi to Lagos. Like there used to be Nigeria Airways. That's so that when we see somebody say they want to open one airport in one particular state and we are jumping, that the Makurdi airport was functional in the early 70s. Now Nigeria Airways was flying for 25 naira. That rail was everywhere. That there was even rail moving from Lagos to some places in Kano. But those things are not there. And those countries, Lagos State, for example, that is beginning to resuscitate and bring in some of these things, we seem to be happy. But they said, no, those things were there in the early 70s.
Yeah, but what
that's so it is not that we are making, that to him, it's not that we are making progress. That it seems that we are retrogressing.
But what we have now, what we used to have those days were this locomotive train. But what we have right now are the electric train, and in more advanced way, I think in every country, there is always need for improvement on what we have. But that's by the way. Can we talk a little bit about the issue of Commonwealth? Some of the matters arising from Commonwealth. We've spoken very well concerning the issues from Nigeria's being a partner. Okay, Nigeria being a partner alongside other countries in BRICS. Now, let's talk about the Commonwealth, where even the king was part of the people that attended. Now, one of the salient issues, matters arising from that summit, is the fact that African countries are talking about compensation for slave trade. As a matter of fact, it is one thing that a lot of people have been talking about. But now, financial compensations. How possible and how could that be? Because as a matter of fact, UK have said, well, there is no need. We're not coming out to do any apology as far as that issue is concerned. But the African, the Caribbeans are talking about financial compensation or some form of changes in the polity. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, to me, it's welcome. Of course, there's been a lot of write-up, a lot of discussion in that direction about the role the British have played in some countries, West African countries that they colonized, including Nigeria. And people have said that during the period of colonization, a lot of resources, a lot of artwork and all of that were taken away from Africa, especially Nigeria, places like Benin. And we saw recently the return of some of those artifacts and artworks that were taken from this country. Yeah, I think in terms of compensation, I believe that it is very important that the British compensate Nigeria as part of the Commonwealth countries, as people who we have a strong relationship with. The compensation may not be necessarily financial. It could be in terms of, I will look at in terms of retribution. I mean, bringing back those artifacts, bringing back those artwork, making it look, try to make them look modernized, coming back, for example, to Benin, developing those areas so that it could be a center of tourism for example, like for Edo State and other states where those removal were affected by our colonial master. Taking certain projects that will strengthen our relationship, they should, see in terms of serious developmental partnership within that direction, to create an art center to show what happened in the past, so that people can come to reminiscence about what went wrong, what they did in the past, relationship between the Britain and the Nigerians and our forefathers and our leaders in the past. Let's see what happened when Nigeria. Do you know what it means if you go to places like Benin and you see the various gods and idols or whatever artwork that they have, and now you can see them in a very modernized way, and that will generate.
Okay, apart from the fact that you talked about maybe bringing in some developmental projects, and all of that, bringing those things back, I don't know what difference it's going to make. But then some Nigerians are thinking, and they are of the opinion that compensation for slavery cannot be in total, because some persons lost their loved ones in the process, and some persons cannot even trace their loved ones because of those transactions that took place. And coming back to do a thing like that will be some form of reminder for people who have actually overcome this pain. So how can this compensation be commensurate with what has actually happened? Is it possible?
No, you see, it is not compensation to individuals. It is a national, inter-country compensation. It is just to show that this country was wronged. We took wrong decision, honestly wrong decision, if I would use that word, and that in show of partnership, we are saying, okay, we are sorry for what has happened. We are back. We want to heal the wounds. It's trying to build like something like a memorial to show how we felt about what happened. And I think that it is nationalization. It is to show that, yes, at a point in our life, we had this moment, and the people we can always reverence it. We can always, put it in remembrance. Our children can go to places where they read the story and they see the pictures.
Wow, I think that's it for me.
That is of what happened in the past.
That's an explanation coming from a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Victor Giwa. Thank you very much for coming around. I would have loved us to talk more because it's getting more interesting, but then time will not allow us to do that. We hope to have you some other time again so that we can talk about diplomatic ties and things happening between Nigeria and other countries. This is going to be the size of Diplomatic Perspective today. As a matter of fact, we've been able to establish, according to my guest in the studio, that Nigeria have more to do as far as putting its house in order before extending any form of partnership outside. And of course, compensation for slave trade, either financial or in any way, is necessary, at least to show that, yes, we are now in partnership and whatever happened in the past should be a past. Thank you very much for joining us on Diplomatic Perspective. Today we'll come on your way, same time, same station for the next edition. And that's going to be on Friday. Bye-bye for now and have a wonderful day ahead of you. I am Ramsey Enoch.